Hi, I wanted to show you how I grow alfalfa seeds. All you'll need is a wide mouth quart jar. This is what I use. This is the brand of sprouting lids that I use. They have other ones on Amazon, or a friend of mine suggested he used to use some muslin over the jar and then screw on the ring. You just need airflow and an easy way to drain and refill with water. So that's what the lid looks like. You'll need sprouting seeds of some kind. These are the brand, this is the brand that I have. It's Todd Seeds on Amazon, but it's basically the same method for any type of seed. So radish, broccoli, mung beans, which are bean sprouts, anything you need. A spoon and some water. So let's get started. This is all I do. You take 2 spoons. Basically, it's a tablespoon. It's not an official tablespoon, but you don't have to use measuring spoons. 2 spoons in the jar. You fill the jar about halfway, just to give it room to sprout, to expand. Put the lid on it and let it sit somewhere, just about anywhere, overnight. So roughly 8 to 10 hours-ish, whatever. And once you do that, this is what they look like. You'll notice the difference, just it's night and day. You see these. That's basically what they'll look like in the water at first. And now they are all plumped up. They are a lighter color. And the water kind of looks murky. Swish it around and you can see, well, once they settle a little bit, just how nasty looking that water is. So what you do now is you pour the water out, and then I refill through the lid. I put about half, I fill it about halfway, something like that. Swish the water around, empty it out, do it one more time. And because of the way the lid is, these lids are set up, they're on little feet. So they are never going to be laying flat, preventing airflow. So you can either, once you do this and empty again, you always rinse the seeds twice every time you rinse them. So now you can either put them on a plate or a saucer and let it drain like that. What I usually do is I just put it in my dish drainer. Do this at least twice a day. You can do it pretty much as many times as you want during the day. It's just going to prevent stagnant water from sitting there and getting all moldy and gross. That's pretty much all it does. And it keeps the seeds moist enough so they can sprout and without drying out. And I will set this in my dish drainer, and I do this 2 to 3 times a day for at least 4 days. So we'll continue after the 4 days is over. This is day 5. This is the morning of day 5. And this is how much they've grown. This was 2 tablespoons. Now, if you want to see more green, and I live in a cave, I barely get any sun in this house, and you can see green. But if you want more green, you do your normal rinse, in the morning and then the afternoon, and then You place it upside down on something. I use my lovely little saucers. And you put it in a window where it's not going to get too hot, but it's going to get some partial direct sunlight. You don't want it to dry out for the entire day or however long you want to go. I mean, heck, if there was room in here, you could probably take this even longer and have a full-on plant growing in here. But you do it for a day or so, and then we'll move on to the final step. This is the morning of day 6. Yeah, I let them go a little bit longer than I normally do, but look at how green they are. So this is what I do. I do this to remove the seed hull from the alfalfa sprouts so that there's less fiber and less gastrointestinal disturbance. I get a bowl full of water and see all the seeds, the hulls. That's what we're trying to remove. And as gently as possible, I try to remove them out of the jar, but sometimes it's difficult. Especially when I let them go just a little bit longer than normal. But look at how big and green they are. Look at, they're huge. And I will rinse that out later. So this is what I do. You have to break it up because the hulls will get stuck in the middle of these clumps. So I just gently pry it apart in the water with my fingers. And swish it around. And a lot of the seeds will float to the top, but a majority of them will sink to the bottom. I do this until I know all the clumps are broken up. Oh, and I neglected to tell you that I'm in Central California, so our weather it's really warm and it's dry. It's not humid like the South. So your sprout times may vary. So this is what I do until I get a good majority of the seeds off the top. The seed hulls, sorry. Now, if you had salad tongs, this would work. They would work great, but I don't. So I'm using barbecue tongs. And then what I do is I swish around a little bit, grab some alfalfa sprouts, put them in a sieve or a colander. And this won't get all of them, but it will get the majority of them, and then some more when I do the final rinse on these. We'll go through the colander holes so that you're not eating crunchy seed holes. I have only done alfalfa sprouts. That's it. That's the only thing that I've grown so far. So I'm not sure exactly what the method would be once I do like radish sprouts or broccoli. I have no idea how those will turn out. Or, well, I know how bean sprouts will turn out. Those will be a lot easier to clean up. If you've ever cooked beans and had bean skins in your water, that's what's going to happen with bean sprouts or mung beans. And then once I'm done, I'll give this a final rinse. Try to get more of the seed hulls out, and to make sure that the sprouts have had access to cleaner water all the way around. Oh, and I need to thank my friend Tim, who once again suggested the colander instead of the strainer, because of the larger holes. I was using this, but all the seed hulls just stayed right there in the bottom. So you do this, and then you let them strain and dry out. You don't want them completely dry, but you don't want them wet like this to the touch. They should be moist, not damp. And then I store them in the refrigerator in an old lunch meat container. Your results may vary. Because I let these go so long, I might not be able to use this container, so I'll have to find a bigger one. But back in 2011, there was a huge outbreak of food poisoning related to alfalfa sprouts in Germany. And it looks like it's salmonella and E. coli. The way to prevent it is, one, make sure that you get sprouting seeds. Don't go to your farm supply store and grab a whole bunch of alfalfa seeds that are made for planting in the dirt. They've been cleaned and all of that kind of stuff, so they'll be safer in the long run. You have no idea what's on the outside of the seeds. And since we're not cooking them, you need to make sure that everything is as clean as possible. That includes your bowls, your strainers, your tongs, the container that you're going to store them in, the lids, the jars. Everything needs to be clean. Your hands. And that's just a common sense thing. If you keep everything clean, you properly store within the refrigerator. I keep them 3 weeks is pushing it if I haven't touched them. But you can technically rinse them out, strain them again, and then put them in a fresh container, and they may keep longer, but I have no idea. I don't do that because usually they're eaten by then. But the CDC said that most of the foodborne illness that comes from sprouts is on the seeds themselves. In my head, everything that went wrong was because they were sitting, there's going to be moisture in the bottom, no matter what you do. Sitting in stagnant water is not good for anything. I don't care if it's refrigerated or not. Just make sure you're as clean as possible. Eat them within 3 weeks, maybe a month is pushing it, but I have no idea. They could probably last 6 weeks. Depends on your refrigerator. Depends on how wet they were when they went into the container. Just be smart about it. And I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you.